Welcome back, everybody. We're back at it again here at Lo Que Es Podcast with our special guest, Miss Lovely Amanda WYNN. How you doing, Amanda?
I'm super great. I'm so excited to be here. It's been a long time coming.
It has
Since summer. We've been trying to do this since summer.
You got a busy schedule.
You too.
It is what it is. How was the drive?
Lejos.
everybody says, "Oh,
Lejos.
You're in California."
No, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, if I'm driving this far, I better have a ranch. You know, like it's lejos.
I told that to my wife. No, otherwise it's a big piece of land.
Está mejor pe compré eso.
Yeah.
Then you have your space, you know?
Well, we're going to get there pretty soon. So it's going to be an exciting podcast, everybody. She's a very interesting lady. And I'm going to let her introduce herself, talk weird, a little bit. No. Hey, that little, I don't know about weird, but...
Peculiar.
You'll probably just know. So I'm going to let her introduce herself and let her...
I'm Amanda WYNN, Miss Lovely. I've been doing radio for about 15, 16 years. I have a nonprofit. I have multiple companies, children, grandchildren, godchildren, all of the things. They met me from our Sunday services for the summer for Hydrate.
Yeah.
I just happened to live in the same neighborhood as their family, and we were... doing all of our things, and they had to see what was going on.
Yeah, we're being nosy.
We were being active, right?
Yeah.
I'm paying fines right now to the city of Phoenix. Shout out to the city of Phoenix for that.
You get fined?
Fining me for having the pallets in my front yard. Yes, 100%.
Not even an HOA.
Let's sign a petition to the city of Phoenix because I think it's bullshit. Am I allowed to cuss?
Well, you already did anyways.
Yeah.
Wow, I honestly did not know that.
Yeah.
For you doing something good, you get fined.
Because one of the neighbors complained. Yeah.
No mames.
Yeah. I know which one, but I'm not going to say.
Let me know.
Yeah, she's not there anymore.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
That one?
Yeah.
I know which.
You could talk.
She moved.
Wow.
And when all that happened with their situation, the first thing my son was said, Karma's a bitch, huh?
Karma was a bitch to her. Like,
not just that. Like, listen to this.
Chisme.
This is the chisme, mira, in the neighborhood in Maryville. Listen, so not only are we serving like 800 people in the streets a week, I'm cooking the food in my home. And so the extra, food that we have, we're making food boxes for all of the neighbors.
Yes, ma'am. I've seen that.
We don't care if you have money, don't have money, whatever. Like, if you live in my neighborhood and we have enough to give you, we're going to give extra to everyone. So our neighbors, all of our neighbors, probably 10 neighbors down on each side, through the summer, we were dropping food boxes off, whether it's just like food and hygiene products, cleaning supplies, whatever it is that we got extra. And this particular neighbor that called the city of Phoenix and complained about us, she was receiving these food boxes too.
Whoa, she's double dipped, huh?
Yeah, so she was getting food boxes from us. She was getting extra stuff from us on a constant basis. And then she called the city of Phoenix. They came out and inspected, and they have been harassing me ever since.
So how's that work? Like, what is it, a one-time fine or what?
No, so like now that they see anything out in the front yard, it doesn't matter if I leave the trash can out too long, anything happens, they're fining me. Because once you're on their radar, they're going to come and check and see if anything's out of place, they're going to fine you.
And not only that, like I said, you do help you got a nonprofit foundation, and they're already on you. You're already on the radar because you go feed the homeless, and apparently it's not allowed.
It's illegal to feed in certain areas in the city, for sure. Especially anything that's city property. You're not allowed to feed. You're not allowed to give water. We've been told that there won't be any more warnings if we get caught feeding or giving the homeless water on any city property, that I'll be taken to jail.
But why is that? What? It's just the politics?
Because they don't want people getting comfortable getting served on their property, because then they'll continue to go there.
So they just want to cut it out
altogether.
Because I remember you told me a story that they used to have a park with beautiful trees.
Oh yeah, they cut the trees down.
Just for the people who want to sleep or be there.
100%.
Wow.
They cut the trees because that's like the only shade that was in within like 6 mile block for them to be able to rest under downtown. And so, and that was the same park that we got harassed with the cops at.
Shale.
They told me you have to go all the way to the street, bring the homeless to the street, and then hand them the food or water. We're not allowed to serve.
And then they walk back to the property, and they can't do nothing about it.
Thing. So it's just discouragement from serving because they don't want to deal with trash. They don't want to deal with people sleeping on their properties or whatever.
But I'm pretty sure, like, let's say for example,
Me vale madre.
She don't give a damn. Like, but it makes sense because I'm pretty sure, like, say you're a face that people already know who you are.
Yeah.
So, and you're helping them out. So I'm pretty sure they take initiative. You know what? We don't shit where we eat, technically. She helps us out. We clean our own trash.
This is the one thing. I have a really good relationship with the people that I serve, and I make sure I communicate with them. Like, if you leave the trash from the food that we serve you, and we come back and see that we're not going to be able to serve you anymore. They know that because we have a deal with the city and with the police that if we go and clean up behind, and there's times where, especially downtown when we're serving, we set up, like, we have a women of influence and men of influence, and we'll get the men of influence together and take a truck, one of our trucks and a small trailer, and go to that area and have the men go do a cleanup in that area just to help.
Oh, wow.
So it's not that we're just putting out. We're going and helping clean up too. And so there shouldn't be an issue. But with the city of Phoenix, you know what it is. It's all about money. So I have an option to pay the fine, or I can take them to court and I can fight it.
How much is the fine?
It's not a lot. It's not the point. Because the summer's coming and we're about to do it again. And I'm going to have the city pulling up again.
We're here to help out. Let us know. So, you know what time it is. It's late.
Hey, and I'm going to tell you, they are amazing because, look, his wife, his suegra, everyone would come over, all the kids, and help me unload. It was a lot. I was doing a lot.
No, and I seen that, and that's one of the things that me and my wife always talked about. Like, I don't talk to a lot of people about it because it's none. But I grew up in the Boys and Girls Club, and we used to always go feed the homeless, and it's something that got stuck to me. Obviously, we come from the hood. We come from not having nothing. I'm not saying we have a lot right now, but we're blessed to work for where we at.
Compared to where we have been,
you know what I mean?
Listen.
Well, let's talk about it. Where you come from?
I mean, I came from California, but I grew up in a small, very racist country town.
Where at?
But we were, on government cheese and food boxes and all the whole, you know what I'm saying? So, like, going from that to being able to go to the grocery store, and especially now, be able to go buy groceries or be able to even pay all of your bills and have never had a light bill, and never had your lights cut off or whatever, it's just a different, when you're grown up and you've surpassed that mentality of poverty, it changes the way you view the world, right? Like, it's just when it's a trained behavior to stay in the mentality of poverty so that you can't rise above those things.
There's no obstacles. There's obstacles, but there's nothing that you cannot overcome the obstacle.
But how our systems are set up, especially in America, it's for you to keep that poor mentality, right?
Cage. They keep us in a cage. They supposedly give you everything.
Just like from the schools to the prison systems, don't get me started. You know what I mean? But
it's
like...
Trust me. Like, I know the cafeterias, school system and prison systems.
It's the same
I'm not proud that I'm saying I've been to both, but it's the same thing. The same thing. You're a number. Yeah, we're all a number. At the end, in my opinion, like I said, at the end of the day, I've seen people that have been in and out of prison that prefer being in prison than being outside due to the fact that they're so institutionalized that the mentality is, what the heck am I doing out here? At the end of the day, they treat me worse. And there, at least, I'm respected by the people. Even the CEOs, obviously they have a certain kind of respect. But you come out here, you're nothing. All they see you is already a failure. You're already going to fail.
Well, so we're working with a few other nonprofit organizations and some partners now on some prison reform programs, on some rehab programs. But the job ratio for people who have come out of prison, or even county, it's ridiculous how many calls and text messages I get every week saying, hey, who's hiring felons? Who's hiring these people? Because we have a long list of people that need jobs, but none of them can get a job because of their record. And so how do you expect to reform them if they can't even get a job to take care of their bills, to provide for their family?
Supposedly they were going to pass a law, or if they did, that you don't have to mark felon no more. Is that true? You know that?
I think it depends on the company's policy.
Okay, so it's not a federal. Back in the day, it was a federal thing.
Yeah, I don't think it's. I don't think it's even state regulated now. I think it's depending on the policy preference of the company.
All right, so how you get into? I want to talk about everything about music, but I want to start from the beginning. Like, what made you start this organization? Because I had the conversation with you, and you told me once. I don't know if I could say it, but I'm gonna say that you used to sell tamales in the street. Like you started. Yeah. That's the part that I know at least that. Yeah. How'd that happen? Like,
there's so much. This is the thing. Like, okay, so when I posted today, like, this is an exclusive interview that you're getting because I don't talk about any of this stuff on any of the interviews that I do.
Thank you.
We talk about radio. We talk about promo. We talk about companies or whatever. When it comes to like my personal life, my kids, my grandkids, all that, most people don't even know I have adopted children. You know, like there's a lot of private that goes with all of that.
And we respect that. But not here.
So when I moved to Arizona, I had my son. Drama, whatever. So finally, I have my daughter. She's about a year old, and I had cancer. I didn't have any family here, and so you know what are you gonna do? You can't work. You are at the doctor all the time, in and out of the hospital all the time. I have 2 kids in diapers. You know what I'm saying? And so you know you do what you have to do, and I really and I want to go back to the Spanish thing. Like I learned to speak Spanish because my kid's father is Mexican, and he didn't speak very much English. I didn't speak Spanish when we got together, so I had to learn. I pushed myself, submerged myself in the culture, and learned in like 8 months just because I need to know what's going on. You know,
at the end of the day, that's something
his primo lived with us. Everything we worked with like 350 Mexicans. I was working part-time with our friends that they own like a mechanic shop, Mexicanos. Okay. You know, so like I had to learn street Spanish. And it was like, I literally was watching Juan Querendon. It was my favorite show. Oh my God. I'm like, where did he go? Anyway, so I watched that, listened to radio, everything. So I learned.
So you're invited to a carne asada for sure.
Yeah. And I'm going to cook. So being submerged in that culture, you meet a lot of amazing people. And I want to say like Latina women are some of the strongest women in the freaking world, and their work ethic is unmatched. You can't tell me that there's anyone that's working harder than Mexican women. It's just not happening, because the way they take care of their family, their houses, they still work, they still take care of everything, make sure everything is under control. And they as much as people are like, oh, Latinas are aggressive and they're loud, and yeah, but you have no idea the shit that they go through and how much pressure is on them to be perfect all of the time, especially in their culture as a woman, as a wife, as a mother. Like there's this stigma around having everything perfect, right? And being around those women, I had to step up my game on all levels when it came to being a woman, right? And I've always loved to cook. I've made tamales before, you know, growing up with my dad and stuff, but like not like this. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
So like we would be like, okay, hey, my comadre would call me and like, hey, vas a hacer tamales? I'm like, okay, bet. So I would go and I'm like, hey, can we make like 3 or 4 extra dozen or whatever we can make extra? Because at the time I couldn't work. And so she was teaching me how to make them, you know what I mean? And we would make extra, and I would pack them up, and I would go stand in the Ranch Market parking lot con la niña on my hip. Wow. And vende los tamales.
Did they sell?
Of course.
Oh, I'm just saying.
They're delicious.
You know what I mean? Well, I still haven't tried them, but we'll find out soon.
Y la ceviche, mejor.
So from being obviously in a relationship, having kids, and technically being by yourself, and obviously, like you said, a different culture. At the end of the day, it is a different culture regardless. Obviously, you were able to adapt it to become yours because you are one of us at the end of the day, because you could talk to my grandma, huh? You know what I mean?
Well, I think for me, the importance of speaking Spanish was because I have Mexican children.
Most definitely.
And they're Chicanos. Yep. And it's really hard when you raise Latino children in America to get them to be excited about their culture until like there's an age range, right, where they start getting excited, and you're like, oh, mira, like La Nina now, she's so excited about being Mexican. But when she was younger, she was just like, whatever about it. She didn't care. You know what I mean?
Especially nowadays, like my daughter, not only my daughter, just family in general. Yeah. We're from Mexico. We're born in Mexico. Yeah. I got friends that they don't speak no English. Yeah. Their kids don't speak Spanish. Period. And I'm not saying, and I put myself in the same situation. It's not as embarrassing, but it's like I'm from Mexico. I'm not even from here. You know. In order for and the thing that our kids, like you said, little by little, and I love this country to death, but this country raises. I'm not even gonna say this country. Society nowadays raises our culture. At the end of the day, you can be white, black, whatever you want. Yeah. Everything's 100%. Technology. Yeah. It's not even about a race thing no more. It's about technology, freedom and technology. Because my kids tablet, my kids Nintendo. On Nintendo, still saying Nintendo. We're not even Nintendo no more. Video Xbox. Games. You know what I mean? And what happens is that, like, my daughter could talk to me all day, every day. But if you ask her what you prefer to speak, English. Yeah, and same thing, and like, it's not even a culture thing no more. It's like technology and
with them though, like, especially because they have family that doesn't speak English. I knew that eventually they would be going to Mexico to visit their family, and the last thing I wanted was for them to struggle having like communication with their grandmas, with their tias. And I felt like, number one, their dad's not here. He was deported years ago, and even before then he wasn't really around. And so it's been me taking care of them. And for me, like, the importance, like, so my family is white and native. Okay. But I don't know a lot of the history of our native. I don't have a good, close relationship with my family. So I don't have a lot of research on like my genealogy or whatever, but I know that my great grandfather on my mom's side was an Indian chief, and so the difference for me is I didn't get the option. Correct. For my culture to be taught to me. So, you know what I'm saying? So what you're I want to give them the option to say, when I'm at home, I speak Spanish to the kids because they get English all day at school. That's what I'm saying. And correct. And I know it frustrates them sometimes because they're like, "Hey, what are you saying? What are you saying?" And I keep repeating myself over and over because the reality is they're not going to get that at school. They're not going to get that from anyone else but me. Even though I'm white and I'm not the same culture as them, I understand the importance of them having their culture. Like, if you go to my house, you wouldn't think that I'm not Mexican only because, like, I cook on a comal. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Like, the way I cook, the way I teach my kids, so the way I train my kids. I'm teaching our culture. Submerge them into their culture, even though they're not in Mexico, even though their family is not here. Because I don't want them to go to Mexico and feel out of place. I don't want them to feel uncomfortable. And I also want them to be able to know, like, be proud of where you're from. Like, your family's amazing. Mexican people are extremely resilient and brilliant people, and they don't get enough credit at all. You know, we talk about, like, shout out Black History Month, and it's amazing. The one thing that I realized, though, that, like, especially Mexicans in America get criminalized just for being from south of the border. We don't talk about Canadians the way we talk about Mexicans. Not one bit. Do you know what I'm saying? So for me, it's like, I want to take that stigma off for them and show them the beauty that is their culture. And they've been able to be around some really amazing people that, take them in. Like my comadre, they take them in and love them and just kind of cover them in their culture and show them how beautiful it really can be. And not only that, like you said, the stigma, that if you speak Spanish, you're brown, you're Mexican. Mm-hmm. I'm a shout out to everybody, Latin America, whatever, I have much respect for that. But it all falls. I can't speak about what I don't know. I don't know anything about any other Latin cultures. Well, but it falls almost. If he did something, he speaks Spanish, they don't know Mexican. What he is. He's Mexican. Like I said, be from Panama. You don't even know. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So at the end of the day, like you said, and one of the things that I'm getting, tell me if I'm wrong, at least you're giving your kids that option, and like that they can tell you later, Mom, you didn't teach me this. Nobody taught us. Mom, you didn't do this. To learn, you're doing a great job. Like, my daughter knows how to make tamales. She so we had this conversation a couple weeks ago. And I have like a specific pot that I cook my rice in, and you know what I mean. Certain.
You're Mexican.
You're Mexican. The only thing I cook in that pot is rice. That's my rice pot. And so
I got a story about that.
I was laughing because my son hates cooking. He doesn't want to learn how to cook, and he's about to be 18. And my daughter cooks, and she bakes. She has her own baking company. So I was like, you know, if I die, who gets my comal? Who gets the rice pan? And he's like, obviously my sister, because I don't know how to use it. And I was like, so I called her, and she's like, I thought that was clear, Mom.
Like, what you thought he was gonna cook? Nah, but I think about the rice. One time I was gonna do a maruchan, and one of her, it was game over.
Like, she yelled at you?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
What you mean? So that's why I don't cook at all.
Especially the ones that are like cast iron, because they absorb flavor and stuff, and we don't want that.
I'm not even gonna start about this conversation because I do not know. So you went from, like you said, having 2 kids, from selling tamales in the streets, obviously trying to survive, from having cancer. What was, if you mind me asking, what cancer did you have?
Intestinal.
No way. Yeah. How did that affect your life, if you mind me asking?
It's been a battle ever since.
You're still fighting it?
So I have, 15 years cancer-free. But I've had some issues that come up because of all of the medications that I had to take when I did have it. And, you know, I ended up losing my gallbladder and having, like, other medical issues because, like, kidney failure and things like that. And vitamin deficiencies and stuff like that because of it. But, you know, the cancer wasn't the hardest part.
Were you a mom?
Yeah. The cancer wasn't the hardest part. The hardest part for me was not being able to take care of my kids the way I know that they deserve to be taken care of. Because there was times when, and I don't even think they remember, you know, Pam was so little. At the end, she, you know, I was in bed and I couldn't do a lot, you know what I mean? And she would have like a poopy diaper, and JoJo would just handle it. You got to understand, he's only a little over a year older than her, you know what I mean? And so he would take her pamper off and throw it in the trash and clean her, and then he would put his chonies on her.
Oh, wow.
And I said, Papi, ¿por qué tiene calzones? And he would be like, because I don't know how to put a pamper, Mom.
Wow.
You know? He's like not even 3 years old yet. And so having to take them and have nurses watch them when they're not supposed to, when I'm in the hospital, like, you're not supposed to bring your kids. I didn't have anybody. It was by myself.
By yourself?
And so, you know, I wasn't popular yet, you guys. You know, I wasn't Miss Lovely yet. I was just me raising these damn kids by myself. ¿Qué tiene ahí?
I would have helped you. She's going to check. I would have helped you for sure.
No, but you know what I mean? So when you don't have the availability to just call someone and be like, hey, come take the kids. You know, when I had, their dad was in North Dakota at the time, and I called him and I was like, I'm sick, you know. Sometimes men can be so detached from reality.
A lot of time.
And I was like, hey, I'm sick. I don't need anything from you. I just need you to help me take care of the kids. And I was like, if you want to move here, you can stay in the house, help me take care of whatever. Like, I'm not asking you to pay for anything. I'm just asking you, or come get them and take them back to North Dakota so I can get through this. Just because, not so much because it was hard for me, but because I didn't want them with those memories. I didn't want them to see me like that. I didn't want them to see me not be able to take care of myself, you know? And so, you know, he's like, well, you know, I'm not gonna do that. And I'm like, well, why not? You know, if you want to be with your kids and I'm giving you the option to come back and take care of them and be around them, like, why wouldn't you want to just be with them? You know what I mean? I don't understand not being with your children. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
and
agree.
So, you know, he said to me, oh, ¿qué tú crees? Que yo soy un pinche mandilón.
Wow.
And I said, oh, okay, well, I guess your ego is more important than spending time with the kids, or, you know, or giving me space to take care of myself so that I can be a mom for them the right way.
Like, I don't understand some people. Like, I do get, like, there's some mom that will do, just for pain, take the kids away. Like, won't even, just because, you know what, I'm going to hurt you.
Yeah.
And they don't even care. And there's good fathers that, like, don't give me. I had this conversation a couple of days. There's phenomenal dads out there that love their kids, but that's why you should be careful who you marry at the end of the day, or who you have kids with.
Who you have kids with.
Because
you're attached to them for the rest of your
life. This is a mother's
You think
state.
just until they're 18? No, for the rest of your life, you're attached to this human being because your kids are going to have kids and they're going to have a wedding and there's always going to be things that bring you back to have to be around them. And you know, the reality is he had a whole other situation happening there. I never in my life have kept them from their father. I still to this day try to get the kids to call them, and they're like, "No, we're good. We don't want to deal with it."
Because every kids have the decision.
I mean, I would when they were little. I'm talking about 5, 6 years old. We were flying them back and forth to North Dakota by themselves, so that they could go be with their dad for 3 months. You know,
you're awesome.
And when he got deported, he was in jail for like, I don't know, 4 years or something. Then he finally got deported, and then probably 2 years later, I paid for him. Like, I drove to Mexico. I met them in Mexico. They had to drive like 22 hours to meet me because they're in like
Guerrero.
They're in ¿dónde estás? La Paz.
Oh, all the way. Well.
They're all the way down the La Chingadera. You know what I mean? So they got to drive up and back through Mexico to get to like wherever we're gonna be. Even if I went through San Jose, and but you know, paying for the trip and doing all that just so that they could spend time with their dad. And I'm like, you don't understand. I'm never gonna keep them from you, but I'm also not gonna force them to have a relationship with someone who never showed interest in having a relationship with them.
I agree.
Because now they're grown, 16, 17 years old. They can make their own decision whether they feel, you know, like they want to have a relationship with somebody.
And the main thing is that you tried. So nobody could tell you, you know what, you took them away, you know, you kept them away. So we started obviously having children. You going through what you went through. And did anybody close the doors on you when you have you? Because this is one of the things that we talked about.
The reason why I started selling tamales was because I had gone to the churches, and mind you, I was a minister from when I was probably 16 till I was 24, 25 years old, like an ordained minister. I still have my ordinance, so I could still perform ceremonies and all of that stuff, but I was actually in the church teaching praise and worship, cleaning the church, doing outreach, all of the things. So my first thing was, as soon as I got sick and I didn't have family, I was like, let me go to Find the Nurse Church and see who can help me, because that's their freaking job. Your job as a saint is to help those that are in need, period. Jesus never was in the church. He was in the streets serving, and that's what we're supposed to be doing. And I believe that with my whole heart. So when I went to the churches, even through things like holiday seasons and stuff, telling them like, I'm sick, I have kids, there's nothing we can do to help you. There's nothing we can do to help you. Unless we become a member of their church, they're not going to help us. So I was like, fine, I'll figure it out myself. And through the lack of compassion and empathy of others is where we find our hustle. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am.
How many times have you been in a situation like, if I just had I could get out of this situation and be 10 times better off than I'm at right now. But nobody's just like, here, I fixed it for you. Nobody's doing that, right? And so when you think about community service, that's what I think about. That's what our nonprofit is about. Right now, you need help. What can I do to make that situation better for you? You should not be struggling mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, financially, and have nowhere to turn. It's not okay. It's an inhuman.
Basically, what we're talking about, that the church has closed the door, and that if you're not part of their church,
So that was what I was saying. So basically, that's what our organization does. Is if you have an immediate need, our goal is to find solutions to meet those immediate needs for the community, whether it's prison reform or food or education programs or resources for women, whatever it is. Like, we're trying to be that extension that most people are searching for, that we just can't find. We can't find people that really care enough to help, because there's always an agenda behind the help, right?
Correct.
Like, if I help you, I get this. If I help you, I get... If I help you, you just get helped. You know, I don't get paid to help people. I'm 90% of the time coming out of pocket to help people. It's not about making money. It's about serving purpose. And if we don't have something to focus on, like, what is my purpose? Why am I here? What is the goal for my life, right? We will literally spin our wheels for the rest of our life trying to figure out why we're unhappy. My husband didn't make me happy. My kids didn't make me happy. Having all this money didn't make me, whatever. Like, we fulfilled everything you could possibly fulfill. You've done all the things you could possibly do to find joy and happiness, but something's missing. It's because you're not operating in your purpose.
What's your happiness?
Seeing other people realize that somebody loves them. Like, seeing that, like, when I feed people, it makes me happy because, one, there's no better hello in the world than being hungry and someone giving you hot, delicious food. There's nothing better in the world than that. Imagine not eating for 3 days, being outside in the heat or the cold, and not being able to access food or water. But that's a perfect hello for me. And so that's something that we say for our Food for Friends program. It's a perfect hello. Is I might not be able to change your whole circumstance, but what I can do is make sure that today you know that you're loved, and give you the opportunity to live for tomorrow, to make a better decision for tomorrow.
That's deep, real deep.
Like, right now, if you're hungry, you can't think properly. If you're hungry and you haven't slept and you're living on the streets, and there's so much that we don't understand about the homeless when it comes to psychological issues, is that a lot of times, yeah, there's people out there with mental illnesses, but a lot of the times the mental illnesses come from being on the streets. A lot of the drug habits come from being on the streets. There's perfectly fine people that will go lose their house and be homeless temporarily, and then we've heard, like, hey, I had to stay up every night because these people are trying to steal my stuff, or they're trying to hurt me, or whatever, so they start using drugs to keep themselves awake all night. It's a vicious cycle. There's a million reasons why that people are homeless. My goal is not to find out why they're homeless. It's to find out how we can change their perspective of themselves, right? If I show you that I love you and I'm a stranger, and I'm willing to go and cook for you and provide for you, that shows yourself that somebody has value. Somebody says that there's value in you, right?
Correct.
And if I'm feeding you and I'm showing you care and I'm showing you love, to me, that's my church. To me, that's God. To me, that's saying, is there any better way to show someone God's love, or to show them that they have value, than by feeding them, by providing something that they desperately need and they can't get anywhere else? And then it opens up the door for healing. It opens up the door to say, now when they see me on the streets, I'm the pasta lady, and we can have a conversation, and they can talk about, I didn't want to talk about it before because I didn't trust you. Because you already know there's especially when it comes to minorities, when it comes to people in poverty, people in struggle, that are living in their trauma, that are going through mental issues, they don't trust anybody around them. And so that food is almost like an extension of trust to them. Like, you're eating my food. I could have poisoned you.
Like,
you know what I'm saying?
You knock at the door, now they're opening the door.
So now I feed you, and now we can have a conversation.
So it's basically,
you know what I'm saying?
That's the icebreaker. How can
I provide you with services that I don't know that you need if you don't tell me what you're going through? Correct. And no one's just going to go walk up to you and tell you what they're going through. It's extremely humiliating. Like, it's not a fun thing to be a homeless person. And so you have to break that ice and get them comfortable with you, so that there can be a dialogue about what they need. And it opens up even further for me to say, well, there's things that they're required of you. In order for me to help you get off the streets, there's requirements of you. You know what I mean?
Yes, ma'am.
And we'll help you get through those requirements, but, we're ready to help anyone who's ready for help.
So you never say no to nobody?
No. Because if it's something that I can't do, we have a network of nonprofits and amazing people that I just start texting. This is the need. Who can help me? Wow. Furniture for people's houses, water for Navajo Nation, whatever it is that we have to figure out, we'll come together and figure out as a team.
And so I'm pretty sure you've seen everything on the street since you've been helping out, right? Is there
Stabbings,
like the worst? What's the worst thing that you've seen like to you that impacted you that you know what I can remember right now?
Well, so there's this picture that was posted on the internet a few years ago, probably 3 years ago, of me bending over on the ground trying to help revive someone.
Oh, wow.
And I was crying. I just couldn't stop crying in that moment. Like, I helped that person and got them awake and got them water and, all of the things that we're supposed to do. We have an EMT person that comes out with us. Shout out to Tita. And Tita and I handle all of the emergency and medical stuff because we're all certified. But it was while I'm down there, this person's literally laying in urine and you could smell it and vomit. You could just smell it. You know what I mean? And there's just people walking by.
Like normal.
Like there's not a person dying on the street right next to you. And it broke me. It still like gets me choked up. And I stopped, we got that person up and fed them and got them up off the ground and moved them to a cleaner spot with some padding and I just started crying and I just couldn't stop crying. And then some of my crew started crying. And it was just one of those moments where we're like, this is where you see the cruelty of humanity, right? Or the lack of compassion and empathy. Because you choose not to find out about someone. You choose to assume whatever you assume of them. And you don't know how they got there. You don't know their story. You don't know their why. You don't know their issues. And you just write them off like their life doesn't matter. That's somebody's family.
And in society nowadays, a dog is more important than a human being.
100%. There's way more money going to animal rights than there is to human rights.
Shout out to that dogs too. But I'm just saying like a life. I'm saying like, and I remember like, and it was this joke. Is a comedian, and I was listening to it, and he said, "I'm gonna let you guys know how America's crazy." Yeah, okay, he's from Australia, I think. I wish I remember him. Like, my dad passed away of a heart attack. This, and that, and nobody said nothing. Mm-hmm. It was cool. And then he says, "But my mom, she didn't know how to tell the dog in 15 years that my dad passed away." So, a couple of days later, the dog passed away of missing him, and everybody, oh, and he's like, y'all didn't give two damns about my dad passing away, right? And I make up this damn dog, and now you guys have sympathy for him. Mm-hmm. How is that? Like, we'll care more. And I get it, like I'm saying, animals are beautiful and everything, but like I said, a lot of people have how can I say?
It's a disconnection.
Correct, and not only that.
And that's a technology thing, though.
Yes.
Technology has disconnected us from humanity. I mean, we've always had homeless people, but we've never had this extent of homeless people because there's such a lack of empathy and compassion in our country, and there is no moral responsibility or obligation for corporations or businesses to run their business according to the service of their community. And so because that's not being regulated, but everything else in the fucking country is being regulated, it changes the way other people view people. Oh, they're just, I'm not gonna, whether they need it for drugs or out. This is what I tell people. It doesn't matter what you do, what people do with the gift that you gave them. It matters that you were obedient in giving the gift.
Yes, ma'am.
Once it's released out of your hands, it's no longer yours to care about. And the problem with Americans is we want to control everything.
Yes, ma'am.
So, hey, I gave you that car. What did you do with it? Oh, I sold it. And now I'm mad at you for selling something I gave you. Why are you mad at something you gave me? It was mine to give or sell or do whatever I want with. Correct. Right? And so it's the same mentality when it comes to helping humans. It's, why do you care what they did? Why do you care what they do with what you give them? Or are you going to buy alcohol? Who cares? If you have a giving heart and you don't give and you can help, this is what I get in so much trouble sometimes with media especially social media, because I'm very blunt about certain things. When it comes to compassion, it's if you have the means to help someone and blatantly choose not to, you're a piece of shit. And I don't want to have anything to do with you.
Correct.
Whether you're a famous person, I know a lot of famous people. You don't see me kicking it with them for a reason. You feel me? It has nothing to do with me or me not being likable. It has everything to do with my moral compass. I can't rock with you watching someone be on the ground and dying in front of you, and you walk by like it's not happening. You know, there was this old lady. She was like 70, late 70s, in a wheelchair. She had her Bible on her lap, and she said she was outside for 2+ years, right? She was in the hospital. Her insurance was capped, so they released her from the hospital outside in a wheelchair, put her ass outside. She didn't know where she was. She didn't have a phone. She was lost in the streets of Arizona for 2 years.
No way.
And she's like, pray with me. So I sat there and talked to her and I prayed with her. And I connected her with another company that we work with. And they get like the social security information. And then they'll find their family and reach out to their family and find out if they can help with placement or whatever. And finds out this lady, their family thought she was dead.
No way.
They were mourning her and all of this stuff.
Whoa.
And they reconnected with their family, and they came and picked her up. So she was back with her family. But if we weren't out there, it wouldn't have happened. She would have died in the streets.
So everybody, I think everybody has a purpose.
We had people that serve with us. That's part of our team that had been looking for his father for months. Couldn't find him. We went downtown to serve, and he was feeding him through the gate at one of the shelters.
Did you know he was his dad?
Yeah, but he didn't know where he was.
Oh, wow.
So that was a moment for him to like connect with his dad. You know what I mean? So it's just like, you never know what's going to happen down there. We've been down there when they start fighting, and they've been, people stabbing each other, all kinds of things. You know what I mean? We've been rushed by people, but we stay strapped when we're out. So don't get it twisted. We out here in the streets.
You already know what time it is.
Don't run up on me. You know what I'm saying?
So let's say, for example, obviously you're telling a little bit of your story. Do you see yourself like the reason? Not obviously one of the reasons that you help. I could have been there with my kids. I was borderline of being there.
What I did think about is, I have family members that are addicts, and those family members I have had to take custody and raise their kids. And when we go out, even with my nephew, it's been those moments of, for him, it's important to go out and serve because that's how he feels. Because I could have been serving my mom because that was her at one point, so it's not just about me, but I've been serving my whole life. Before I had children, you know what I'm saying? I've been in the church since I was 10 years old. Even though I was doing church by myself, I was a complete outsider when it came to my family.
So you always been a lone wolf, huh?
It's more of just because you're born into a family. This is what I learned a long time ago. Just because you're born into a family does not mean those people are good for you.
That's just saying that I love so much that I always saying? My wife knows more than anything.
And it has nothing to do with them, but it has everything to do with you. Like, it's not about judging them. Oh, they're shitty people. The reality is, you can't do anything for me in my life to help me be a better human being. If I'm around you, I will be less than who I'm supposed to be, and that can't happen.
And we
you know what I'm saying? So if I have to shrink myself to be around you, if I have to demoralize what I think or shut my mouth or not be able to stand up for my children because of your beliefs or the way you think about life, there's absolutely no way you'll be in my life. No. I don't care if you gave birth to me. I don't care if you're my brother. I don't care. And I get flack from my blood family all the time. You traded us in for other family. 100%.
There's
100%.
110.
And I would do it again tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day. Why? Because I will not be around people who do not help me serve my purpose.
There was I talked to somebody today about that time tells you I gotta back up. type tells you, you know what, I gotta push myself back. Even though we're family, I gotta step back. And one of the quotes that I believe in is on that's 100%. Blood makes you relatives. Actions make you family. Mm-hmm. I got friends that I'll ride and die every day before a blood relative because
the reality is I did the riding and dying for my family already. I died too many times.
And we keep
there's no resuscitation there for me.
Never.
But what there is constant ridicule and constant judgment, and there's constant I don't know if it's I don't know what it is, but I do know that I believe in forgiveness, I believe in growth, I believe in healing, and I believe that I can't do those things in your face and you can't do those in my face. Because we're not the type of people that get along well enough to grow together and heal together. We're not. But what we can do is live our lives separately, live according to our purpose. And if you heal and grow and have changed, come find me. We'll talk about it then. But we're not in a space where we can talk about it without it becoming a violent situation. Because I'm going to 100% always stand for what I believe in. And I'm always going to protect my children. And when it comes to my kids and my biological family, it's just not an option.
Never that.
Because my kids are Mexican.
Never that.
So that's the dividing line between me and my family is racism.
Next.
And guess what? Because I released that, God gave me something better.
A family.
Gave me people that show up not out of obligation. I'm not obligated to any of my sisters that have become my sisters. I'm not obligated to my mom in West Virginia. I'm not obligated to them. It's a desire that I have. It's a connection that I have. We found each other because we both lacked love and compassion and understanding and service to one another. We all needed it, and we provided that to one another. And when you can grow and heal, and even if we're angry, we fight, whatever, it doesn't matter. That's the difference between real family and fake family. I can be mad at you and yell at you, and then the next minute be feeding you a plate.
Good plate?
That's the only kind of plates in my house.
I'm just saying, I don't know. I still haven't eaten none, you know what I mean? No, I still haven't got invited to the kind of side.
But you know what I'm saying? So for me, it's that separation of, okay, it's a clear separation for me. You know, after my father passed away, there was nothing connecting me back to my biological family. I have nieces and nephews that I love and I'm close to, but as far as that, like I don't have immediate aunts and uncles. My aunt that I was close to passed away. All of the family that I was close to is gone. They've all passed. All of them. The only family that's alive are the people that I don't get along with, and I can do without it.
Listen, if you're not here to add with me, we'll subtract you. You know,
it's fine, and we're fine with it.
No, I get it. Like I said, I've been. Trust me, I've been in a situation. Like I said, I have a huge family. Like I said, I have a big family. But there's people I don't talk to, and there's people I do talk to, and there's always gonna be that separation of why don't you not come around? Why do you not come around?
It did make it a little more complicated, especially when the kids were younger. Before I had the family that I have now, just because you don't have that support. You're 100% alone doing this shit on your own, trying to figure it out.
Good. Is that right?
You know, so you're 100% alone trying to figure it out, and it becomes scary. You know, even when JoJo was born, I lived in Buckeye, and they lived in Buckeye. I lived in the town of Buckeye, and they lived on Watson, and they wouldn't watch my son.
It's horrible.
Grandma, aunt, and my mother, none of them worked, and none of them would watch him. I still had to put him in daycare. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. And this is what I'm talking about when it comes to Latinos. That would have never happened. Never happened if my mom was Mexican. I can guarantee you. It wouldn't have happened.
It is what it is, huh?
You know what I'm saying? It's crazy.
So let's. How you feeling?
I'm good.
You like the vibe?
Yeah.
We good?
Yeah.
Gucci gang. So let's go from Amanda WYNN to Miss Lovely. How that come to be? Because it's Miss Lovely once you start becoming in the radio, and because you have a couple of radio stations, obviously you are in the radio right now, but from Amanda WYNN, obviously you came a far distance from California to becoming a mother, going through the obstacles of life, obviously going through what you went through, and being able to say, you know what, I survived. Not only that, you survived the battle with your health and a battle against people that are not supposed to. So you got rid of two big things in life. And now, like you said, like I could do without both. Because at the end of the day, negativity is a big cancer. If you put it like that, and people that
but think
put you
about
down.
This. I have struggled off and on with my health, but not to that extent. Once I removed the negative people out of my life got better.
Blossoms.
It has to, because the thing is we ask for so much, but we don't leave space to receive.
Correct.
Because we want to hold everything, our trauma, our drama, our family, this person's problems and this person's problems. And when you're someone that cares about people, we want to help everybody, right? And so now we have all these problems.
But we're like,
God, please help me, please help me, please help me. I'm stuck. I'm depressed. I need help. Like, okay, I'm ready to give to you, but your hands are full. You got to get rid of this stuff so you have room to receive. You don't have no hands to grab what I'm giving you. And so that becomes that point in your life where you're like, I have to make room for space for my healing. I have to take time. And there's certain people in my life right now that can attest to, I haven't spoken to a lot of people, and probably in over a year, I have been very secluded. And as much as I'm out in the public, when it comes to my personal life, I'm very secluded for the last year.
I'm special, guys.
For the past year, just because this has been my healing. This has been my focus. This has been my, I need to get my spirit right. I need to get my mind right. I need to get my finances right. I need to get my health right. I'm no good to everyone else if I'm constantly battling inside.
100%. You can't help the world if you're not yourself.
It's hard to be the light for someone else when you're depressed.
Definitely.
It's hard to want to go and give that extra when you're like, I don't even want to get out of bed.
You've been there?
This whole last year.
Are you right now there?
2023. It was horrible.
And you know how crazy it is? I didn't see it.
Because I would never allow that. You know why?
Wow.
Because I would never want you to feel that burden ever. Because I know how heavy it feels for me. And I know when other people come around me with that, how heavy it is for me when I'm dealing with someone else that's depressed. Because it's a lot. If you have a friend that's constantly depressed and always complaining and crying and can never just get out of bed and is not putting the effort in or whatever, it becomes like, I don't want to be the friend that calls you and you're like, fuck, she's calling me. It's going to be a sad situation, or it's going to be you know what I mean? Never that.
You could call me. I answer every time. My wife don't answer, but you call me, I promise you.
She does not answer her phone.
She don't. I promise you.
She left it in the kitchen or something.
You call me. That's one of the biggest things that I'll be the first one to tell you that me personally, and I'll probably get a lot of heat for this. Depression and anxiety. I personally think or thought that it was mine. It's mind over matter. That's how I think. And obviously, like I said,
it is 100%. But there's things that happen. Like the last 3 years, I lost so many people in my family to illnesses, to accidents, whatever. And my father was one of them. After my dad died, and I haven't talked about this with anybody on any podcast, on any radio station. I don't talk about my dad like that. I was extremely close to my dad. And after my dad died, it was like, now what? What am I supposed to do? I have a mom that I don't talk to. I have brothers that I can't talk to. I have a sister that I refuse to be in her life. And my dad was my last. And understand this, my dad's only child.
Okay.
My son is the last person to carry my dad's name.
Wow.
So
I got goosebumps.
Yeah, so my mom had previous children from another marriage. I'm the only grandchild on my dad's side of the family.
Whoa.
So I don't have family. Like I said, I don't have cousins. Correct. I don't have nobody I can be like, hey cuz, like none of that. You know what I mean? So after he died, it was like, what do? We're building a ranch. We're supposed to be figuring out our next 10 years together. Like my plan for my retirement was to build this ranch with my father, to be able to have something for our family as a collective so that we could find that healing in that space. You know what I mean? Yes. And he was an engineer. So he had all the answers. He knew what to do with everything. He already planned it all out. And then he died and I was like, okay, now I have all this land. and my dad's gone. I have no direction. I have no one I can call because he was an entrepreneur. He was a boss. He's all these things. He's where I got my work ethic. I never, my dad was, when I was younger, he had an alcohol problem and it was abusive. But the one thing I can never say he was lazy. He's always worked 10 times harder than everyone else in the room. And he proved that he had value to everyone that he met. And so for me, that was a non-negotiable. Like, I have to be a hard worker. This is how I was born. This is how I was bred. This is what This is what I was meant to do. So we would have conversations about fucking employees or whatever. Like, just that. How do I deal with this? I don't even, like, I'm frustrated in not knowing certain things about life, and then going back saying, man, I wish I would have asked a million questions about our family, about his life, about certain things that I don't know, you know what I mean? And it's that, it just feels like a piece of you is ripped apart. And so I'm going through that. And then I was in the hospital because of all of the stuff that I went through previously. I still have intestinal issues. I still have things that I have to go through. I was doing iron infusions once a week, which is, it's a lot on your body. And so it was that, not being able to work the way I know how to work. Take away my work and I will go crazy. You know what I mean? Like, yes. Take away me being able to help and do and cook and be who I am. I go crazy. And I think the first one was, 4 months I was down and was not able to work. No money coming in. As the only provider in my home, not being able to provide for my family for 4 months, and hustling my way through 4 months of $10,000 worth of monthly bills.
10,000.
You know what I'm saying? And then I start getting rid of things that I had to pay for, so I could be like, okay, now instead of 10,000, I'm paying $5,000. $5,000 is still a lot to have to just hustle when you're sick. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And at the time, I hadn't seen you, and you're probably like, where is she? I haven't seen her. She hasn't been out. Yeah, because I was sick, bro. I was sick. Went back to work for like 2 months, and then I came home, and, we were hustling over the summer, moving a lot of heavy stuff. My back went out. I lost feeling in my legs. I couldn't walk. I was on a walker for a little while. It was a struggle, and that was another 4 months, no income.
Wow.
So you're taking 8 months out of the year, no money. No income, trying to just hustle and figure it out. Didn't lose a shit, never had anything turned off, everything straight, right? How? I don't know. By the grace of God, this is why I said, your favor comes. It just comes in different forms. It may not come in the way you gave it.
Definitely.
But it's definitely going to come. Because there's no way, as a single mom, I should have been able to sustain my life without having a job, without having any income. You know what I mean? And so when you have to sit there and lay around and figure out life in a different way than what you know, that's like saying, okay, bro, you can't sell drugs no more. You got to figure out a different way to make money. Now you're like, fuck, now what do I do? Damn. Okay, let me go learn how to drive a forklift. Let me go, something. You got to changes your whole trajectory of how you move. If I can't move, and you see me how I work.
Oh, definitely.
It's a heavy labor. And so when you can't do those things, it feels like you lose a part of yourself. So you have to come back to center and do your meditations and prayers and do your therapy and be like, okay, why do I put so much stock in what I can do for others and not who I really am as a person, right? Because you start to doubt yourself and start having this depression and you start looking at all the things that have gone negative in the last 3-4 years, and like, man, it's just, the hole is just getting deeper and deeper and deeper, and you don't want to do anything. You don't want to be around people. I didn't want to be around anyone because I don't want my energy to affect what you have going on. I need to deal with this. I need to remove this from my life before I just leave this with people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, everybody has their demons.
In that time, I was still doing radio probably 80% of the time, even when I was sick.
Yeah, nobody, at least me personally, I didn't notice it.
No, because I didn't want anybody to know. I didn't want to share it. I didn't want people to feel bad for me. There's people that are like our close family now that were there, they know, because they would show up and, and help me take care of certain things. But when you're in that position, when you're always the leader, and you're always the decision maker, and you're always the provider, and you're always the one who has the answers, and you're sitting there and you're alone and you have no answers and you have no help and you have no solutions and you're the solution guy, it takes away your identity and you have to figure out who you are again. Okay, so if I can't, and I was thinking about you and I was thinking about her, and I was like, there's a reason God put all these people in my life for a reason, because it's that prep of, if I can't physically do this, and this, then I have to be able to work through my mind and not my body, because I'm a physical human being. I like to do hard jobs. It's just how I was raised. And I'm tall. I'm 6 feet tall. You know what I mean? Tall. And so for me, I've always been a physical person. Now I was raised with boys, so like sports. I was a basketball player for 8 years. Like you know what I'm saying? So like I'm always been physical at whatever I did, and then taking that away, not being able to do anything. And I'm a runner. Like, hey, what are you doing? I got to do a show. I got to do this. I got to do that. I'm showing up. I'm supporting, doing whatever I can in every way. And sometimes you feel like it, especially because of social media, you feel like it doesn't matter how much I do. It's never enough, because somebody's going to feel like they didn't get the attention they deserved, or the help that they deserved at the time that they needed it, or whatever the situation is. And I would just kept going back into my mind, like, if you only knew that I'm sitting here thinking about killing myself and you're worried about me not texting you.
Wow.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't understand the level of depression that you go through when everything is taken away and you're stripped back all the way down to your character, to your morals, to how you really feel about yourself. And you say, you guys can love me all you want, but if I don't love me, it doesn't matter.
100%.
Because I can't really receive the love that you're giving me.
If you don't feel
because
it yourself.
I don't believe I'm worth it. That's why.
But you are.
I know, but it's not that I don't know. It's that when you know something and when you implement it are completely different. You know what I'm saying? It's about utilizing that. I know I have value. However, when you're at a place, and imagine you not being able to provide for your family, and being on the verge of losing your house every single month until you figure life out.
Well, I was there, like I said, when I landed.
But you know what I'm saying? It takes something away from you as a human being, and you feel worthless. You feel like, what am I going to do? How are the kids viewing me? How is my partner viewing me? How, you know what I'm saying? Like, all of the things. And you have to be like, who cares? Who cares about what everyone else thinks of you? If you're doing your fucking best at that moment, even if it's not good enough for everyone else, know that you're doing it for yourself, and you're bringing that small effort every single day is bringing you out of whatever this darkness is. Yeah. Whether it's getting on one phone, I promise you, this is how I got through it, is making one small thing a day. Hey, today I'm going to take a shower. Hey, today I'm going to actually eat a full meal. Today I'm going to call somebody. Today I'm going to get out of the house and go to the store instead of order my food. You know what I mean? Like,
one step at a time.
You have to, because when you're in this moment of depression, it's a fog over you, right? And you can't drive in fog like that. You have to be able to move it out of the way. And so there's something visible at the end of this fog. So you say, okay, that's my goal. My goal is to get out of this bed and make my bed and not go back in the bed until 5 o'clock, right? Well, I don't care if you lay on the couch. I don't care if you go lay in Pam's bed. Your bed is off limits until 5 o'clock. Why? Because you have to change. Something has to change in order for something to change, right? And so, and literally, I'm telling you, he probably twice during these times, he talked to me in the street and had no idea what I was going through.
Not one bit.
But it's that tenacity that you have to have when you're raising children on your own, that no matter how hurt I am, no matter how sick I felt, no matter how depressed I was, no matter how much I felt worthless, the only value I saw that I had left was, I'm the only one that can figure this out for them. I'm the only one. They're depending on me 100% for everything that's provided for them. And then looking at it like, how do I feel after losing my dad? How would they feel if they lost their mom?
What would you tell your dad if he was sitting here? Last words. If you could talk to him one more last time. If you want to.
I will say that through all of the lessons that he taught me, I hated the way he delivered his messages, but I received every one of them.
He's taking care of you?
Mm-hmm. I know. We drove the truck up to the ranch for the first time. And, you know, like the U-bolts for the, because my truck's lifted?
Yeah.
There's these specific bolts that are in the suspension, right? And we were up and down hills, crazy hills, rocks, all the things. And I'm like, something's not right, man. I know my vehicle, shit was hitting like hard. You know what I mean? Like on the suspension. I'm like, what the fuck is that noise? I'm like, that's not normal. It wasn't doing that in the city, you know? So we ended up driving to the mechanic on the way back out to go back home. And they're like, how did you not drive off the cliff? It was literally one thread hanging off of the bolt, and that whole end of the axle would have collapsed 100%. And we're driving down steep mountains.
What's your dad's name?
Mark.
Mark was there, huh?
Oh yeah, I'm like, that was my dad, 100%. There's no way. And the mechanic was like, there's somebody with you. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, come here. He took me out to the shop so I could take a picture. He's like, look at this. You guys would have died because those are like cliffs. You know what I mean?
No, definitely.
So I know that he's there, but that's something that I was talking about this morning on the 707 was, you know, do you have to enjoy the message? Does it have to make you feel good in order for you to receive what you're supposed to receive from it? And most people will be like, yeah, probably, or I'm just going to tune it out. But when you're being raised by someone who's extremely aggressive and an alcoholic, and their point, how they get their point across is violence, because they know it's a one done situation. You don't have to teach me that lesson twice. If you whoop the shit out of me, if you burn me, you know what I'm saying? Like there's things that you're like, it's in my head. I'll never forget those moments. Why? Because the punishment was so big that there's no way you can't remember that. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, ma'am.
And so, and I told my dad this, and I'm grateful that my dad was a man of understanding, because later, probably about 5 years before he passed, we had a conversation of about accountability. And I told him, I love you and I want to have a closer relationship with you, but I'm holding some pain. I'm holding some grudges. I'm holding some hurt from when we were kids, you know, like all of these things. And I told him everything that I remembered. And instead of denying it or feeling like, you know, wanting to argue or what, he accepted it and he apologized for it. And he said, if there's anything that he could change in his life, would be that. Now, when you're an adult and you hear that from somebody, it does something for your forgiveness, right? It helps you forgive easier.
It hits different.
It hits different because you know, especially when you have children, there's no way on this. I whoop my kids, but I don't beat my kids.
Well, there's a difference.
And my kids have never seen me drunk in their whole life, and they won't. That's just something I'm not with. And so, so understanding, like, yeah, maybe his delivery was horrible, but his dad was horrible. You know what I mean?
So it's basically
like his
abuse, chain.
Yeah, like the abuse that he got was 10 times worse than what I received.
And I bet you his dad was worse.
And so it's like understanding his path. I understand your path. I understand why it doesn't make it okay.
No, not one bit.
But what it does for me is give him compassion and give him room for grace and room for forgiveness. And it gives me the opportunity to say, guess what? Well, here's the abuse and here's the lesson. And I told him this when he was alive. Dad, the abuse, that's you. You can have that back. I don't want to keep that that's not for me. That was yours. And that was the pain you were going through projected on me. And you can have that back. So you can deal with it however you want to deal with it. But all of the lessons and the blessings that came from it, those are mine. Those are my blessings that came out of your abuse. And I'm going to take them.
There you go.
And so for me, that was it. Like, sometimes we don't have to like the message. Sometimes we don't have to feel comfortable with the message. But we got to understand that there's being something taught there. And be grateful that you have those lessons, because one day you won't have any more lessons.
Wow. Like I said, it's every action has a reaction at the end of the day. You know what? Us as parents, we try to give them the best things and teach them. And sometimes we teach them. I catch myself like being like how I was trying. Then I'll be like, you know what? I'm gonna back 100%. Up a little bit.
But there's trauma that we don't understand. If you don't go to therapy, and I promise you, like, people think therapy's crap, but it's not. It's really just about reflecting and understanding how to reflect properly and deal with it. Like, once you find it, what do you do with it?
Solve it.
Once you find the trauma in your life, what do you do with it? How do you fix it? How do you repair yourself from it? Or do you just learn how to live life knowing that this is a part of your story? You know what I'm saying? And it can be the most fulfilling thing when you start to discover yourself and discover why you are the way you are, because you can't change until you understand why. That's why people are stuck. Why do abusers continue to abuse? Because they don't know why they do it until they go to therapy, and they're forced to go to anger management, and they're forced to dig deep, and they're forced to learn about themselves. And why am I so angry? Why am I projecting so much anger? When they figure it out, then they can say, okay, well, then I can change that. I can shift how it's delivered, how I release this anger can be different, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't think that, especially when you're talking about low income, you're talking about poverty, you're talking about minorities, therapy is not something that we, especially if you were born in the 80s, it's not something 90s. That we were taught it was even an option.
Or even talking about your feelings, period.
No, we weren't allowed to talk about it. You cry, you're a bitch. Straight up. That's what it was.
Especially in our culture, you're a boy.
And I think, and I've had to have that conversation with my kids so they understand why I am the way I am, right? Like, you don't like to cry in front of us. No, because you have to understand that I was raised by boys that were older than me, and if I cried, I got hit. You cry, you're a bitch, and they would punch you. And I would go to school bruised. And the harder they hit, I'm crying because I'm a freaking little girl. I'm 6-7 years old. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand. So you grow up with this training that you can't show weakness. And then you become a woman and you're like, oh, why are you so masculine? Why aren't you more, what is femininity? Being emotional all the time? Like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or being more free with your emotions, maybe. I don't know if that's what femininity looks like to some people, but for me, that's not what it looked like. You know what I mean? It looked like you have to be strong no matter what. No matter what. Because there's someone on the other end ready to hurt you the Definitely. Second you let your guard down. You know what I mean?
We had to talk about that earlier today, about some people...
They wait for the weak moments.
Yeah, and like that's why some people their safety or safety mechanism is being the way you are, and people think you're asshole or whatever, but if I let it down, people attack like vultures.
But I think this is the one issue, and I know especially as a man, you probably have heard this been said, you may have said this before. When you have a group of guy friends and one of them's just like either belligerent or he's an extra flirty or extra touchy-feely kind of guy when it comes to women or whatever, and then we put this label on that person, like, oh, that's just how he is. I don't give a fuck.
No, definitely.
That's how you are. Well, that's how you can be outside.
Yep.
Because here, there's growth and there's change, and if I say that this is an issue, then it needs to be addressed. Not, oh, that's just how he is. We're just going, no, that's not it. That was that 90s, 80s mentality. That's not how life is anymore. The reality is, if you're not growing and trying to be better, you're going to get stuck with that same mentality. You're going to be in the same place for the rest of your life.
Next. Let's get now let's go into the serious, Miss Lovely. How you become into the radio?
Well, I became Miss Lovely because I used to sing in the church for a long time. And when I came to Arizona,
damn, you do everything. You sing, cook.
I write. I got a book coming out. Shout out to Red or Green Books.
Okay. Title?
Manifesting Thoughts.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy one.
Yeah.
So we can put it right
beautiful. It's for my sister that passed away a few years ago. She was a poet as well, and we did poetry together. And she did a lot of spoken word stuff, but we had a collective website where we would help people, just kind of like a Facebook for writers and for poetry and art. And it was amazing, but it went by the wayside. She passed away, but she had texted me very shortly before she passed. Hey sis, this is what I want to do. I want to get the website going back up again. And the website was Manifesting Thoughts, right? And so I'm not a real digital person. Like as much as I am I'm not, you know what I mean? I like books. I like to touch, feel, I like to carry it with me. I like to take it on the plane with me. I don't want to have to plug it in. You know what I mean? Like the smell of paper. So I decided to make a collection of 25 poets. Shout out to Metaphorical, which is our photographer, doing black and white photography for the illustration. So we'll have 25 poets doing poetry. Yeah, and then in the end of the book, we will have some mental health awareness and solution resources. My sister was extremely bipolar, and she was constantly switching medications through the doctors, and she was not feeling well on top of all of the medication and just didn't wake up. So we want to have, a space where people we have other options besides drugs for mental health patients. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be medication. There's other solutions, especially more controlled solutions. But so that's an exciting thing. But the Miss Lovely came from music. When I first came out here, I was doing a little bit of music. I've always worked with producers and stuff. And the producer gave me that name. Just because of my personality, because of what I do. And he started playing Stevie Wonder, like, isn't she lovely?
Okay.
And so it just stuck. And so when I started doing radio, I was actually managing an artist at the time. And I stumbled into management.
I'm trying to become that. Actually, I'm trying to start a record label.
I can help you with all of that.
Then we're gonna get to it.
I've helped a few people. So I was at a Ice Cube. It was Phoenix Car Show. Okay. Ice Cube was performing, and my artists were opening up for them. And Trill Talk Radio was in the building, and he saw me, and he was just like apparently a fan or something from MySpace. I don't really know.
Oh, we going way back, huh?
And we just connected at the event.
Yeah, your top 10?
Yeah. We connected at the event, and he was like, hey, I think you would be a really good radio host. Like, the way you talk to people is really dope. I think you should do it online, on the air. And I was like, all right, bet. So he gave me a day, and I, had my little set, and I did my show. And then I did another show. And then I did another, like, every day. So it went from one day to 5 days a week. Then I ended up taking over the radio station and being the program director. And then I took up and then I started working for another radio station, being the program director. And then that ended. And then I just said, I'm not going to work in radio ever again unless I own the network, because I don't want to continue to put work into somebody's network that decides they don't want to do it tomorrow. It's not worth the time and money and effort for me to continue to build something up for you. And then you tomorrow be like, I don't want to do this, or I can't afford to keep it running, so I'm going to close it. So I said I wouldn't do that, So we started Support District Radio Network. We launched My Radio Phoenix, and we launched Uncut, SDR Uncut here in Phoenix. Then we launched Chicago. We just recently launched Houston.
Nationwide, huh?
And so I've been doing radio for 15 years.
But what is the main thing about the radio station? What is that you guys talk about?
Community. My thing is this. like I said, when it's me and it's in my control and my businesses, everything that I touch will always come back to my purpose. So if the radio stations are not pushing purpose, the shows are not pressing for purpose and helping others in the community, building bridges for other people, creating opportunities for other people, they won't work for us. That's just the bottom line. Like, it's an obligation for any company that I work for and the people that are into that company to be involved in the community. It's not an option. And so we created this platform so that we could push community without having limitations. I don't want to have to keep paying somebody media and advertising for something when I can control it myself. And then we built a television network, and we've been doing shows, like crazy, sports broadcasting, all of the things. But it just ties back into everything we do with the community. Like the nonprofit, we created Urban Arts Entrepreneur Academy out of Support District Radio because we had kids that wanted to learn how to broadcast and how to record and how to be a host and how to be a DJ. So we started creating these training programs for the people that actually worked at the station, would train the children and allow them to do their own shows and own production. And it just kind of spiraled from there into education and all these other things.
I better hear this podcast in one of your commercials on the radio. I better hear
sure.
it, you know what I mean?
I'm definitely going to talk about it. Yeah, and then now I'm with the Beat Locker Show on Power 98.3 every Sunday, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m.
How you get on that?
Being dope.
No. I just don't even want to act shy, huh?
So, the Beat Locker, I have been friends with Marvel and Alafia Polk for over a decade. We've all been in the industry because when I was doing Support District Radio, before I started working with the Beat Locker, we just were in the industry and we worked together and we were just amazing friends and, associates when it came to radio. We used to be on 101.1 and they brought me in as like a guest host or whatever, okay. And I never left. And then we got picked up for 98.3 and then we bought John Blaze and now it's four of us. We Mount Rushmore because we're the four top dogs, and it's been a huge blessing ever since. Nice. You know what I mean? It's expanded our network, expanded what we can do for the community. And now if you guys have a nonprofit, if you have a local business, if you have a restaurant, you want to come bring us food and talk about your restaurant or whatever, contact me, Miss Lovely AZ on everything. And
I'm down to go talk about the podcast.
Let's do it.
You let me know. Yeah. Now it's gonna be the very first.
So I've just been doing that. We work with other radio stations. John Blaze owns Icon Radio. I own Support District Radio. Polk owns the Beat Locker. So we all come together and we share our resources. Like if I have a music artist that wants to push something and it's really good, then that music is not only going to go on the Beat Locker, it's going to go on all of 4 stations on the SDR, it's going to go on Icon, and it's going to go on core DJs, and it's going to be spread throughout the country.
A whole web.
From all of our DJs and all of our stations, because that's what the platform is for. The only one that's allowed to say no on the platform is me. Do you know what I'm saying? Like if I want to play a song, it's going to get played. If I want to play a commercial, it's going to get played. It's my choice. If I don't want something to air, it's not going to air. You know what I mean? I've literally walked in on somebody recording their show and told them to go to commercial and fired them and had them removed from the building. Do you know what I'm saying? It's my choice. Because how we're represented as a community matters to me.
Nice. Just like I was watching another podcast. Yeah, I don't know if you heard Mexican OT.
Mm-hmm. I know him.
They asked him, who would you like to collab with? And then the other guy said, would it be Drake? And he said, why? Why Drake? Oh, because he's the hottest. He said, I collab with people that we could be in the same thing. He could be a nobody. He could be, it doesn't have to be what, but we have to have somebody.
He's dope, by the way.
Yeah, he is hella dope.
He does backflps on the
I know.
He's standing right next to the stage when you're like, bro, that's crazy.
Yeah, está gordito. He said, like, you know what? I don't care how famous he is. I don't care. As long as I can vibe with him and we could do something good. That's all I care about.
Y su padre bien nice también.
Yeah, and he's big. I heard that he's like martial arts.
Yeah, he's a fighter for real.
Hey, tell him I said hi if you ever talk to him.
Yeah, so shout out to Casino. Casino is our family in Dallas, and he was just on tour with him.
Nice. Yeah. Well, shout out. Hey, tell Mexican OT, I say what's up.
Yeah.
I like him. I'm not much Houston rappers, like I said, but first time I heard him sing a rap, he's dope. He's real cool. And he's Rasta too.
His energy's really dope in person too. His live performances are crazy.
Not only that, because he's Rasta too. He doesn't shy from that, and he represents it big. And like I said, if you be realistic, a lot of here Mexican rap back in the day is nothing compared to what they are now.
Oh no.
And they're dope as hell now. Like back in the day, they were cool. But either you had that Cholo, that Chicano rapper, which now a lot of Chicano rappers have become pretty cool, but they all had the same style.
But it was a Chicano vibe.
It wasn't Ice Cube, it was an NWA.
It was a Chicano vibe, though.
But now, like I said...
It was like, oh, they're only going to be rapping at the lowrider shows.
And and Mexican OT, like, I have much respect. He's dope as hell.
He's dope.
So from becoming to where you're at to now, what's your next goal? What's your mission, like saying, you know what? If I was to be gone, I'll be happy because I did this. Obviously, your kids growing and
my goal is to end hunger in America. Nice. I can't end homelessness, but I can end hunger because we throw away more food in our country than we have people to feed. So there's programs. If you go to foodforfriends.org, if you want to find out information, we're working on a program right now, pitching it to Dallas and Houston and Phoenix. Phoenix is really weird about wanting to help their city for whatever reason. But Dallas is more interested in putting these programs into play. Not just for me. Like, I want to cook. I love to cook. I want to build my ranch. I want to be able to have a nice retreat place for people to come and heal and get the proper services and healing that they need, whether it's a writing retreat or health and wellness or spiritual, whatever it is, you know what I mean? But I want to be able to take these programs and perfect them so that we can take them to every major city in America so that we can really impact our community in such a way that is unmistakable. Like, there's no way that you can't be like, oh, they're doing that. No, you can tell. When we launch Hydrate the Homeless in Phoenix, we should be launching it in Chicago at the same time. So we have consistency, boots on the ground in the city. Wherever there's a station, there should be service. Wherever there's service, there should be a station. It's this one hand washes the other. You need a platform that you have rights to and that you can control in order to push the narrative that you feel is the best to push. Like, I really feel like people create podcasts and shows and do radio and social media and all of these things because they want to be seen. But what do you want to be seen for? Do you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of nonsense. Scroll down your TikTok, you'll see it. You know what I mean? There's a lot of nonsense that doesn't mean shit. It's either for entertainment or just for someone to sell a product or get a like or share or whatever. And I just don't see a lot of purpose happening. So I'm leaning heavy on purpose and figuring out who are the boots on the ground type soldiers. Who are those people that want to go and get dirty and do the work and show up whether they get paid or not? Like, this is something that I do public speaking across the country, and I also, something that I talk heavy on is whatever your purpose is what you should be building the foundation of your life on.
Correct.
Because everything in your life is going to change except for your purpose. It's never going to change. How you get there may change, but what you're supposed to be accomplishing is not going to change. So if you continue to build your life on a career that is, I'm going to do this for now, I'm going to do that for now, school this, oh, this industry's been taken over by robots, that's over with, she divorced me, the kids are grown, everything in your life will change. Purpose will not change. So if you build your life on a foundation that's never going to change, then you have something solid to build on, right? You don't have to keep reinventing. You don't have to keep rebuilding. You don't have to, hey, now I got to move here. Now I got to do that. You don't have to restart your life over and over and over. You can build up on the foundation that you know that you're going to be working on for the rest of your life.
For sure, for sure. You know what? It was an interesting conversation. I hope you liked it. You know, first of all, I want to let everybody know if you guys can help.
Help us.
Help.
We need help.
I'm gonna be leaving her information on the video. Obviously, I'm a tagger, and I appreciate all the love. And you know, we're here to help out. And any last words you'd like to say to the public, or shout out to anybody?
Yes, I want to shout out to our Guarded Hope crew because you guys are amazing. The prep that we do for the summer, you guys got to see a little bit of. It's tedious and horrendous. Extremely stressful 3-4 months out of the year, but it's worth it, and we need more help, you know. So if you want to help, go to guardedhope.org and we'll connect you. If you want to donate, go to guardedhope.org. Whatever. If you can't physically help, that's okay. We'll figure out something. You know what I mean?
Thank you very much, and I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast, and hopefully we'll keep up and probably make a part 2 about what's going on, because it's just us.
We'll have to come back for Hydrate.
That would be dope.
Yeah.
And you know we'll be out there with you.
Yeah.
Appreciate the love and support, and follow her. Thank you.